down the hallway.
What did he do down there?
Started fucking executing people.
Why?
So he's a nasty boy, dude.
Was like, you guys didn't build the pyramids, aliens did.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Shot a fucking cannonball at it. It was like,
the stones with sound.
yeah. He had a pact with the boys. He captured them, he beat them. And they're in the Middle East at the time, it was like a tradition. You would just be like, all right, we'll never fight again.
Yeah.
Let us go. We're done. That's a deal.
Oh.
And then they came back and fought again. And he was like, all right, well, now I'm going to execute all you.
Oh, in the middle, he was following Middle Eastern customs. He'd be like, all right, he captured the flag and was
Captured the flag, go, all right, everybody go home. We're not even going to take your arms.
damn. What if some guy was just throwing a rock at his wife and missed and hit Napoleon? That could have been the whole thing.
Could fired him up. And then in Napoleon, he cucked one of his officers, dude.
What?
This is a rough one.
Down in Egypt?
Yeah.
Down in Club Egypt?
He was down in Club Egypt. It was ladies' night, dude. He found out Josephine was back home having a little tryst. He said,
okay.
He said, I can't get cucked.
Yeah, that's the only way you can stop a cuck is to cuck one of your friends, your best
friends. And then
friends.
he cucked an officer. He said, he was like, you got to go back to France and tell him we're doing good.
Oh, he passed the bug along.
And then he sent the guy back to France. The guy got turned around by the British. They sent him back. He comes back. He finds his babe in the palace.
Oh, no.
His wife. He's like, what are you doing in the pleasure palace?
Oh.
What the fuck?
That sucks.
That's so shitty.
That's funny. A British guy was like, turn around, go back.
Yeah.
Your wife is fucking Napoleon. Yeah, that's crazy. Dude, Europe fought forever. They just battled each other nonstop.
Yeah.
They got to take up arms against each other again. I need to see Britain just battle France.
They kind of are, but yeah.
Are they? Were they
no,
doing
not England and France, but you know, Russia and Ukraine.
True. Yeah, true. No, I need to see the OG.
You want to see the originals. You want to see Germany get
France.
activated. Yeah. Germany got so activated, dude. What were they doing?
They got triggered. They got fucking triggered as hell.
What the fuck were they doing?
I have no idea.
What a bunch of fucking dickheads.
They spazzed. I mean, dude, they were pretty fucking dumb. Everyone was pretty dumb back then. The guy just fucking came up with a pretty cool story. He was like, check out these old ancient myths. You're these guys. And they're like,
yeah. And they're like, obviously, yes, I knew I was a Viking.
Yeah. Well, that was everyone's worldview back then was ethnocentric. Into the 1940s. It was, I'm German. I live in Germany. German people are the best. Then you would shoot other guys and be like, yep, knew it. Or you'd lose and be like,
that was
we're
bullshit.
The best.
We just got ripped off.
Yeah,
what is those goddamn Jews? Somebody must have fucked us. There's no way we lost.
That was the organizing principle.
It was the refs, dude.
True. That was the organizing principle of like pretty much life. They're like, we're X. X is the best. And everyone fought each other. And we're like,
I don't know if we're above
bullshit. We're slowly getting out of it. Meaning maybe never, maybe we'll die and we'll blow up in a big bomb. But
yeah,
we could all blow up in a big bomb.
We're not that far away from World War II.
Yeah. True. Yeah, for real. There's a big, I read a lot about that, how the technology grows so much, but inside, sadly, we don't.
Yeah.
Vietnam. That's fine now.
What the fuck happened? What happened?
Vietnam?
Yes.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It was, I said it was a weird narcotic state where you know, it's been kind of a thing after World War II. It's gone now, but where we're like, no, we don't really fail. Everybody wants this because it worked so well. Not just World War II, the Marshall Plan even worked because we're dealing with all these countries and suddenly they're coming back. By 1960s, 50s, Germany's even back. So we're like the benign guys that we control things, but everybody's kind of like getting their thing who wants to be on the team. And then, you know, we didn't realize there was a whole undercurrent. So like the overcurrent is Europe, then the undercurrent is the colonies. So all the colonies were rebelling starting in the late 50s.
Oh, yeah.
From Africa to, you know, South America. And so there was that whole thing going on, you know.
The vacay spots were popping
There was so much going on, isn't it weird?
All the sandals.
The sandals resorts.
All the sandals resorts where they've had it up to here.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So it was kind of a weird, it was an interesting time.
I can see communism appealing to that.
Yeah.
You're down.
Of
You
You
course.
gotta share the fucking daiquiris.
pissing around the cheese.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, like Cuba, look at Cuba with the whole mafia thing, and it was such an interesting thing where it was like, you know, they letting all these capitalist things, and then they were like, no, and Castro came in, and you know what I mean? They, even though Cuba failed, they didn't like the corruption level that was going on. The same thing with South Vietnam.
Yeah.
We
That was
were-
the thing. We propped up some fucking
We
dumbass.
propped up a dumbass.
And we would never get rid of it. And then as soon as you saw that part, we were watching it.
Yeah.
We propped up this dude who just immediately started persecuting the Buddhists.
Absolutely.
Started.
Yep.
His wife was a fucking
Yeah.
monster who was like, good, I'm glad they're burning themselves.
Yes. His wife
mean, it
and his
was-
brother.
Yeah, they were just morons.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we couldn't back off because we were like, it's still better than communism.
Yep.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Ho Chi Minh was kind of fucking cool.
Right. He liked us at the beginning.
Yeah,
He
he was
wasn't
like-
totally into this thing. And then
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough. It's like
but he
assistant.
became, yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
assistant manager
Now,
energy.
did you know a lot of guys that were in Vietnam?
I knew a few. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a kid doing the whole thing, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember as a little kid, you'd watch, it was on the news every day at 5 and 6 o'clock, you'd see the footage from Vietnam. So it was like such a part. It wasn't like I was shocked because I wasn't from the generation before that. That was all I knew. I was 7,
Yeah.
8 years old, 9 years old. But I remember seeing footage of Vietnam all the time on TV and the news, and it was just a constant thing. And I remember one time in class, we were talking about Vietnam. This is probably 71, or maybe 70. And the teacher or the kids were going, yeah, Vietnam is bad. And this girl in our class starts screaming and crying because her brother got killed in Vietnam. And so I knew probably 3 guys, older guys, that didn't hang out with me, but I mean,
Yeah.
I knew 3 guys that were Marines in Vietnam that got wounded, that came home, and they all had those cliche Marine personalities. I mean, Vietnam vet
Yeah.
personality. The army jacket by themselves, the big beards when they're home, heavy drinker,
Damn.
heavy smoker, you know, prone to outbursts, but still good guys. Like they were guys we like, you know, they weren't like people hung out with them and talked to them, but they had that other side to them, partly from being in the war, partly from what they did, partly from what Vietnam did, and partly from their reaction when they came home.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you walk around, people weren't going, thank you for your service either, you know.
Yikes. That stinks.
Yeah, so I knew a few guys, yeah.
Yeah, that was the thing we were talking about. O'Connor brought this up. We were talking about last night. He's like, imagine today's fucking college student. Imagine
Jesus
being a dude who got drafted
Yeah.
and had to go live through fucking hell. And then you get home and one of these fuckers throws like a bag of piss at you and is like, baby killer.
Fuck you.
Like, yeah.
Right. Oh my God.
That's when I would join the Ohio National Guard and I would head down to Kent State and say, fuck you guys.
Yeah, true.
That's yeah. But it was interesting that they all did have that personality.
Yeah.
Even the guys I knew, guy across the street, my friend's brother, was a Vietnam vet that didn't fight. He was a airplane mechanic, and even he was screwed up.
Fucked up from it.
Yeah.
My
Jesus.
uncle was a Marine and he never talks about it.
Wow.
Ever. Like literally never talks about it. One night he and I got drunk and he opened up about it.
Really?
And
Wow.
it was wild. He saw a fucking Chinook get hit and just spun. Dudes flew everywhere. I mean, it was. Now my other uncle was in Vietnam, and he is a little more. He's a little more sociopath, like psycho. That's
Yeah.
like, I killed a guy,
Yeah.
and I was like, "How was that?" And it was just me and him, and he goes, "It's fucking incredible." I was like, "Yo, yo."
I told you I knew a guy who was a sniper, and he was saying, he's like, you get addicted to the feeling of killing people, and he's like,
Sure.
and he was a nice dude. He's like, I didn't have like ill will towards people,
Yeah.
but he's like, I like would watch people eat dinner, and as soon as they finish, right in the head. He's like,
Let
by
him
like
finish,
the 12th one, he's like, you get like a god complex, and you're like, I'm ending this.
God
is done.
damn.
Yeah.
So you just
My
watch
uncle,
people hang out.
the guy in
nail
Vietnam.
'em.
I've told you this before. It was like a 90-degree trail.
Mhm.
And you couldn't see around the corner. So he's walking one way. A Viet Cong was walking up the path. He said they literally bumped into each other in the jungle. And then it was just a race to see who could get who could get their gun out faster. And he got his out first.
Jesus Christ.
Now he's still, I mean, and then he got fucked up. He got hit with a rocket propelled grenade. And his nipples missing, his calves off. Yeah. And he had to lay there because they're in the middle of a firefight. He had to lay there for 3 hours on the jungle floor, like, I'm dead. I'm dying for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
I mean, he's a
Nipple.
hero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
Fuck.
and is it that different from war? Like, my father was in Korea and Korean and war, and he said the most disturbing part was which is still chilling, that the lieutenants or the officers would nightly bring in the Korean prisoners and beat the living shit out of them, and always like, "Hey, Brooklyn, you want a piece?" And he's like, "No, thanks." And they would just like just torture the guys, just beat them for fun. So it was already starting to lose the
the glamour of World War II.
And then, but Vietnam is a different. Like, I feel like this setup, even though it happened in World War II, it happens in every war. The setup of search and destroy is what fucked them all up. Because here you are, you grow up in the 50s, you're watching these movies, you have a little bit, even if you're not innocent, you know you're capable of, but you're still, and then suddenly you're in the middle of this thing where they go, no, you have to burn all these Hamlets, because like I said, the Hamlet program, the Vietnamese took over the Hamlets. So they go, and the Vietnamese are in there. And whether they are or not, they're in enough where you're like, okay, it's them or me. And so you're torturing all these peasants out of their house, torching their village,
just burning their fucking.
That's like the strategy.
How long do they do that for?
That's our strategy.
How long do they do
the
that
whole
for?
time.
The whole entire
The whole from
they just let their fucking
1963.
villages down.
Yeah.
From 1963.
Jesus Christ.
And they said even that's what Morley Safer was the guy from 60 Minutes. Who I always thought this fucking annoying guy, But meanwhile, he was a reporter, and they filmed in 1965 torching of a Hamlet. 1965, early in the war. And that's when everyone started protesting the Vietnam War. Because they watched on TV, they're like, wait, this is like liberating France. What's going on here? It was just all these peasants running in, they're torching the house and shooting the pigs. Like that was on the national news.
Jesus.
On the evening news.
That's what you were watching?
Well, I don't remember that, but I'm saying, but people, it shocked the whole country. That's when the protest
Because
began.
we were the good guys. We
I
were
got
always
you.
the good guys.
But
We were
was,
always a good
was the
guy.
news showing it
We were
like,
the-
check us out? Never like, boo, or like, fuck.
No, the news was like, hey,
This is crazy.
That's because the news was doing their fucking job.
True, yeah.
And they're like, here's what's
Yes.
actually happening.
No, right. They just shot. And Morley Safer had to leave. Like they were threatening him because they were saying he took it out of context. He didn't, which he probably
He took
did
it
too.
out of context.
Well, I'm saying
Yeah.
they weren't saying that they'd been getting shot, like Marines had gotten shot from that village.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm saying it wasn't like, it's not just us evil and everybody else is good either. But I mean,
No, they were
still,
bad.
it was a stupid strategy.
But see, this is what happened. And it was
Yeah.
crazy because the French had just done it before us.
Yes.
Fail.
So they did this thing called pacification where they were like,
Right.
they tried to do the social set. Like they were like, we're going to help build your rice paddies up. We're going to give you food. We're going to build schools. And during the day it worked. And then at night the Viet Cong would come in, take the food,
That's
take
right.
the fucking guns,
That's right.
hide guns in the villages, hide weapons,
Yes.
hide soldiers. So then during the day they'd come back and they'd just keep getting supplies and they'd do raids from the villages with the weapons and shit the French gave them.
Yeah.
And then so the French would come back and be like, we know you're harboring communists.
Oh, Jesus.
And they would burn the fucking village down. And then we did that. We did the
And we did
exact
the same
same thing.
And then under the thing of like, we don't want communism to spread, which is funny to be like, we don't want you want to be free, guys. So, trust me. And you're like burning villages down. Like, trust me, this is
Well,
better.
and I think we did the same thing kind of in Afghanistan, right? In Iraq, where it
Instilling
would be like,
democracy?
we're going to give you guys money, work with us. And then the Taliban comes in at night and is like, puts a gun to their head and is like,
Well,
you work with us.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's the whole problem with everything, right?
Yeah.
If you go to some, if the cops go to a neighborhood bar, the only analogy I ever use and everything is a neighborhood bar. And but if they go to a neighborhood bar and go, listen, we want you guys to do a couple of troublemakers in here, and the troublemakers are in there. Or they're outside waiting for these guys to leave.
yeah.
They're not there. They're only going to be there they know you're going
Yeah.
leave. You're not there to stay forever. So
Yeah.
it always ends up screwing you,
Yeah. And if we don't kill them at night, they're going to come get fucking beheaded.
Well,
by
Isn't
the
that what happened in
communists.
Vietnam? I
Yeah.
mean, once they took over,
Exactly.
they Cambodia, all that stuff, they just destroyed. Genocide got rid of everybody that bugged them. And everybody with a pair of glasses. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
It's like
how'd you get those?
They literally went, just anybody who's sort of
Yeah.
fancy themselves intellectual. It was like it's like the army came in and literally just rampaged through Bushwick, Williamsburg, and Greenpoint in the past 3 years.
Nice.
And just said,
Hey, I
everybody
get it.
here
I
who's
get it.
everybody here who's been to a show at a bookstore, just line up.
Just burn the bookstores.
Yeah, it's I mean that's the thing that's why I never really got into Vietnam. I like the Civil War and World War II where it's like
Yeah.
it's kind of noble.
Right. It seems
and
like
then Vietnam is the first one that's like.
Well, it's so, but even Korea was like a harbinger. It's all like
Korea,
so psychological, right?
Yeah.
And I had another uncle who fought in World War II and fought with Audie Murphy. Do you know who Audie Murphy was?
No, who's that?
He's the most famous World War II hero.
Okay.
Like they made him a movie star. He wasn't a good actor, but he was this legendary World War II. My uncle happened to be in his unit.
Oh, wow.
And he said that all the hype, to show you the difference in the war, all the hype about him was true. He goes, this guy was the bravest. He goes, he was so crazy. He'd run right into battle.
Yeah.
They were at Anzio. They were at Battle of the Bulge. All these places. He goes, he would just run right into battle.
He's nuts.
and in those days, they'd celebrate. Now
Like,
in
man,
World
that's a
War
hero.
II, even any movie about Iraq, there's still an undertone of darkness. All the World War II movies, they're like, hey, there's no problem here.
Yeah. Kick their ass.
Yeah, like
that's
this guy's
funny.
great. It had like a positive
Like
tone to it.
John Basilone. You know
What's
guy?
that?
He was in the Pacific. There's a rest stop in New Jersey, like one of the first rest stops. That's what he got out of it.
Oh,
He got the Medal of Honor.
That's awesome.
He fucking, it's in the Pacific, and like he goes wild, picks up his gun without the fucking
right.
heat pad, just mows down the jet, and then he goes home. So they put him on a USO tour
Yeah.
to sell fucking bonds,
Yeah.
and he's like, "No, I need to go back and fight."
Yeah.
So then he goes to Iwo Jima and is like, "I'm gonna do that gun thing again,"
What?
and he died.
Oh no.
Yeah, he
Bust out
died,
the trick.
but he got yeah.
Yeah, boy. Like he
was
does
a-
a strike choice. Yeah.
Yeah, he fucking.
Yeah, my
But
mom's
he got
cousin did
arrested
3
up.
tours of Vietnam. He
Really?
did one, and he's like, send me back, and did another, and he's
Whoa.
like, give me one more.
Who did it?
My mom's cousin.
Wow.
He
He
did
did 3
He
tours?
did 2 more. He
3. Wow.
did 3. Because he was like, fuck it, I'm not going back. I'm gonna
And what did
stay
he
here.
end up doing after the war?
I saw him like spazzing, fighting an arcade owner on the boardwalk one time.
That was Charlie.
Good man. He's a
that
good
was
man.
Charlie, dude.
Dude, he was.
But that's the whole point. Yeah.
He was with my mom the one time when they were younger, and he was sleeping in the car, and some guy like screamed something at my mom, and he like popped up and just got out and beat the shit out. They were in traffic on the highway.
Yeah,
He beat the
sure.
shit out of the guy and throw him on the side of the road. And he's like, "Come on, let's go."
Imagine that guy. He sees a woman in a car. He's like, "Fuck you."
The guy
Then the guy
sits up.
pops up.
Yeah, dude, just pops
That's a
up.
Vietnam.
The
Fresh
Vietnam
from
vet.
3 tours. I think it was like 74. Just pops up like what?
Can you imagine 3 tours? I mean, 2 tours is crazy, but at least you feel like during the second tour, the guy's like, fuck, what did I say yes to this?
Yeah.
But if you go for 3, that means you're like in all the way.
Yeah.
That's when I told the dude I was talking to, it was my ex-father-in-law. I was telling him about my mom's cousin. He's like, oh, that guy just likes killing people.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe.
I mean, he probably just. There's also the guys.
Everyone's
that
got their thing.
You go there. True. You go there, and then you go home, and you're like, I can't be home after.
Yeah.
You're just in the fucking jungle
Yeah.
killing
Yes.
people. Now you got to go pretend to be a human.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
when you get off the road for a long time.
Yeah.
Say it happens to
really
cops.
is.
It happens to cops to a lesser
Dinner
degree.
with a friend. What's that? Yeah.
It happens to cops too.
Yes.
They get addicted to that adrenalized state and they go home. They're like, this sucks.
Sure.
And they stay there forever.
And
Get fat.
but the other thing with Vietnam, which I've watched a lot of those YouTube guys where they interview, and you see the similarities in them eventually. And one of them is that they said they got screwed. First of all, just imagine this: supposed to be the country sending all this money for aid. Several of them said the C rations were terrible. He goes, we looked at the date on some of them; they were Korean and World War II.
Yikes.
That's how old the C rations
Yeah.
were.
Jesus.
That they're giving to the troops at supposedly the richest time in our history. And the other one is the M14. They said the M16 got more guys killed when they switched to the M16 because Westmoreland wanted, or one of these guys it was like a vanity project. The M14 wouldn't jam in the mud. The
Oh, I did hear
M16
that, yeah.
jammed. And they said guys would just be getting killed, bayoneted to death because it would
Christ.
jam and you couldn't unjam it.
Oh, fuck.
And the M14 was, the early gun was better.
That sucks.
Yeah. America really fucked up. I don't like it.
But yeah.
The whole thing. Just
The whole thing was
bums
just-
me out.
Yeah.
And then each president had an opportunity to fucking end it.
Yeah, that's right.
And they all just keep fucking dragging it out.
But that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying about that
Yeah.
state. Kennedy.
Yeah. He was close to ending it.
He was, but he
Yeah.
wasn't.
Well, they
You know what I
they
mean?
made
Like-
sure he didn't.
And they said, and this guy Van was talking to Henry Cabot Lodge, who was the ambassador, all the guys who were close to Kennedy. And it was just one of those things where it's like, just at the last minute, it's like any other decision you've seen in any power person, where you're like, everybody has this logical argument, and then they go, no, I think this is better.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? Why? You don't even give us a reason. And he didn't give us a reason.
There was
there any kind of economic advantage that like was clear?
I don't think so.
Really? They didn't
I don't
even
think
like
there was
make
any-
any. Yeah, I guess there was
No.
nothing really there.
I mean, there was
Babes,
rubber. No, there was
babes,
rubber.
babes.
Yeah.
All the shit that was there was gone when we left.
True.
Yeah.
Rubber, coconuts, all the rice. It was all gone. I mean, we fucking killed it.
Damn, that sucks.
I mean, Agent Orange. I mean, when you think about it,
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Agent Orange killing all the people. They said their levels of whatever dioxin were 3 times anybody else by the time we left, and all the troops. I mean, doing it to your own troops is just crazy. I mean, that's the height of like immorality. You know, to just
yeah.
the guys that are there fighting, and you're just
Yeah.
like, yeah, well, you know, it's like no. They're the ones you have to really try to be a little more careful with. The opposite of what you're doing. It was really a weird situation, you know.
Also, the French were using napalm too.
They were before us.
Yeah, they were. We did everything they did.
Sounds like a French
the
word.
exact
Napalm.
same thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what that is?
Yeah, that
Napalm
fucking
just
was
gel.
Yeah, isn't it like petroleum
Yeah.
gel and they light it on fire and you
Yeah.
spread it if you like touch it. You
You,
gotta put
you
water
don't
on
have to
it.
light it on fire. It just goes on your body. It burns.
Yeesh. And water makes it worse, right? Because if you take
Yes,
a grease fire, put water on
right.
it, gets worse. Yeah, it stinks. And I mean, but France really wanted Vietnam, so
Well,
They
they, had
loved
them
it.
before that.
Yeah,
they wanted it back. I mean, they had it, they lost it. They're like, I think we can get this back.
they want their baby back.
Started
But
spreading
what
some
is-
fire on people.
Yeah. What is it
Porn.
about Vietnam that's so? Because we apparently wanted it too. We went in there in the mid '50s and we couldn't leave. You ever go to a party and you're like, I gotta leave. This party's over,
Oh yeah,
and it's like,
it's
and
like
you know
what?
you
Yeah, I
gotta
guess
get
I will
up.
do some coke.
You're saying
I
it was
guess
2
I will
a.m. It
live
was 2
here.
And
a.m.
you
in
end up going,
Vietnam.
if only I had left at 11 o'clock like I planned to. That's Vietnam.
This probably is just a psychological thing. It's like you want to be the best general. You start losing. You're like, fuck. We got
Yeah.
this. We got this. And it's like, no. We should have this. Hear me out. This is my passion project.
Yeah.
This is my baby.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing. Everybody was just about, the military, like their job is to get more money for the military.
Mm-hmm.
How can you get more money if you're not in a war? You know?
So how did what do you like? How's this thing progress? What do you?
Yeah.
How does it end? What's going on?
Vietnam?
Yeah.
I mean, look, it ended when we left. It was the most, it was really, they're lucky it was the mid 70s. It was like 75, that famous
Yeah,
rooftop thing.
Saigon. Yeah,
They're lucky because by then everybody was it was like the age of apathy when I was a teenager. People were just into drugs, dancing, and it was just a very hedonistic time. People were done with all the protesting that happened in the 60s. People were done by the 70s. You know what I mean? And they're just like, yeah. And so when people left, there wasn't even outrage. It was like, oh, that was awkward.
that was a
know?
bummer.
That was
Damn.
just people were just like, whoa.
Yeah.
It just
Coke and
looked so bad.
disco. Yeah.
And you feel bad for all the
fuck it.
people that all the
Yikes.
Vietnamese that were still helping us by the end were fucked.
Yeah, like that
They got
famous
killed.
that helicopter on the roof.
The helicopter.
That picture. That's a long line,
Yeah.
and that's the last chopper.